Hello, hello, friends and family. Good evening. Good evening. Thank you for joining me this evening. What's up? We got something cooking, don't we? Okay, let me minimize my excitement. Now, of course, when we have a disaster, we hope that we pray that there are no casualties. We pray for for a reduced loss of damage. So with all of that aside, if it's a minor incident, I do like storms. I'm sorry, I have to admit this. It's a guilty pleasure that I do admit that I might actually watch a storm movie in the actual storm. Don't judge me. Don't judge me. It might happen. It might happen. But on a serious note, there are things that we do need to do um, to prepare when we're facing a disaster. A lot of the times we think about the physical things, but there's actually financial preparedness that we want to think about as well. So I'm going to play a short video. I'm going to go into some resources. I'm going to go into some reminders. If you're in Florida, you're probably barreling down. You probably didn't have work today. Maybe you had a half day, so you could play this in the background and just say, "Okay, all right, I got you, Coach. These are things that I might needed to remember, or things you might want to do, especially if you're in a zone that is in an area where you know that you may be facing some damage." maybe you might want to cover one of your relatives who might already be barreling down and say, okay, we're getting ready. So they're not really on social media, or maybe you're hunkered down already and you have your phone and you're watching the news like I am, who's a geek on the weather. If you're doing any of those things, or maybe in the next 2 days, it's going to hit your area. So maybe this might help you for that. So if so, then let me know if you have any questions, concerns. You can always email me. You can text me. I'm here as your financial education coach and trainer to make sure that while you're managing everything else in your life, then I can help give you reminders so that you can also manage and prepare your personal financial information and your well-being. Because I always say that there's personal finance is fluid, right? So we're always going to go through maybe 1 or 2 or 3 things that will take us in a tailspin. And facing a natural disaster is one of those items. So without further ado, I'm going to play a small clip for you guys, and let me know in the chat if you have any questions or if there's anything. And I'll also be posting, links in there. Let me know where you're watching this from, what city you're in, what state you're in, so I can also make sure that I give information that's relevant for your specific area. Hello out there. So we're gonna take it easy. I got the husband in there. He's preparing, some dinner for tonight. But there are some items that I was preparing. I was like, you know what? And I had some clients that called me, and I said, you know what? Let me go ahead and put something together. So, all right, stay with me right now. You'll have a video coming up shortly.
You can protect yourself by planning ahead. Consumer finance. Natural disasters can happen anywhere. You can protect yourself by planning ahead. Consumerfinance.gov has the information you need to make a plan and help safeguard your financial future in the event of a disaster. Whether you're at risk of hurricanes, tornadoes, blizzards, wildfires, or earthquakes, here are 3 steps you can take right now to protect yourself financially and weather any storm. Step 1. Download FEMA's Emergency Financial First Aid Kit and fill it out. Gathering all of the paperwork and filling out the forms may take some time, but it'll be worth it if disaster strikes. Once you complete the kit, you'll have everything you need in place. You'll have gathered important documents like your ID and your Social Security card. You'll have written down the phone numbers and account numbers to your credit card companies, utility companies, insurance companies, and more. If you need to apply for disaster aid or contact your insurance company, you'll want this info on hand. Step 2. Find a safe space to store the kit and the documents you've gathered. Consumerfinance.gov recommends that you make a copy and store the original and the copy in separate places. If it's digital, password protect it And if it's printed or on a thumb drive, make sure to store it in a waterproof and fireproof container. Step 3. Make sure you understand your insurance options and the extent of your coverage in case of a disaster. Renters, homeowners, and auto insurance policies generally don't cover all aspects of a disaster. You may need to look into specialized coverage, like earthquake insurance and flood insurance. A weekend of prep now can save you months of frustration and lots of money if your property is damaged in a disaster. For more information on how you can protect your property and finances, and to download an emergency financial first aid kit before disaster strikes, visit consumerfinance.gov/prepare.
All right. So I hope that was helpful. So I'm going to actually cover a lot of that this evening. And again, let me know where you're joining from across the country. And hopefully this will help you if you're looking at disaster within the next couple of days. All right, so I'm just going to pull this up. And then also remember, guys, I'm live. So if you have something that you have a question about that you're preparing, let me know. Put that in the chat. We're just hanging out this evening. And if somebody's going to watch it later, then you'll have that information. So let me pull up some things that we're going to go ahead and cover. I'm not going to hold you long, but what are you doing though anyway? What show are you watching? Let me know. I'm curious. Okay. So I put together some information that I thought is going to be very helpful. All right. You guys can see everything okay? All right. So I think it's loading right now. Maybe, I'm also going through a disaster, so things may take a little bit longer to pull up. So again, if you have any questions, you make sure that you let me know, okay? All right, so disasters can have a serious impact, as you know, on our finances. So the Urban Institute actually did a natural like disaster preparedness and also looked at some of the items that affect us when we're going through a disaster. So whether it's long term, the severity, it can be harmful to your credit. It can be harmful to your debts, bankruptcies, mortgages, delinquencies. All of these things can come from being impacted by a natural disaster. So I'm going to go over some things this evening. I'll put some links in the chat so that you have it, and then you can always message me so that you have that resource. Again, I'm Coach Shakira. I'm your financial coach, educator, trainer. I've been in the business for over 25 years in the national underwriting real estate. So anything and everything that has to do with personal finance, I have a expertise on. And so I just want to make sure this evening, like you're okay and you have some things that you thought about. All right. Some more challenging items that you want to look at that you could be afflicted with is also even in a medium-sized disaster. So here is some information. When disasters strike, financial fraud is a really big deal when you're going through a disaster. I mean, it's a big deal anyway. How many calls have you got or emails where they're trying to trick you and they're like, click on this because your subscription is in danger? No, it wasn't. I never applied for that, right? Okay. So now imagine when people are in chaos or things just happen. This is when people strike because they think that you're vulnerable. So you want to be awake, you want to be aware of what's coming at you, especially when you're reaching out to agencies and you need help. That's when someone who's not reputable can come in and say and pretend to be a reputable agency and get your financial information. Please be aware of that and don't let that happen to you. So just be aware. They said that since 2005, the National Center for Disaster Fraud has received over 95,000 fraud complaints. So really, guys, just be aware of that. Following a disaster, financial fraud is often the next storm that people are hit with, because it's critical to help consumers identify and counter the persuasion tactics favored by fraud criminals. People make a living out of being disingenuous and trying to take advantage of other people. And I don't want that to be you. As somebody who's a risk manager for large banks, I've seen way too many times when people have been impacted by fraud, and the recovery effort is long. It's tedious in order to be able to recover your coup and your losses from being a victim of fraud. Even myself, I've put in measures in which I've tried to stop financial fraud from happening, but I see it when it's about to happen, because when I was younger, I was a victim of financial fraud. So now I'm like heightened, besides the fact that that's actually what I do for a living, but I'm actually on my personal finance really heightened about that. And the more that our technology advances, the easier it's going to be to have people try to attack, and I try to attack your personal finances. So be aware of these things, okay? Phantom riches, dangling the prospect of wealth or enticing you with something that you want or that you can have. Source of credibility, trying to build credibility by claiming to be with a reputable firm. That's what I had just discussed previously. Social consciousness, leading you to believe that it must be good for you. Just like, oh man, if you have flood and you have this damage, but you don't have flood coverage, then contact this number. We just found this amazing resource that's going to help you. And so contact this number. There are better ways through your county, through your state government, to make sure that funds are reputable. And there are agencies out there, nonprofit agencies out there, that do receive funds in order to be able to help victims. However, you want to make sure that you vet those out all the way. Cool? Scarcity, creating a false sense of urgency by claiming limited supply. If you don't do this right now, we've all seen these tactics used. So what happens is that when we're going through something, we're more vulnerable, so we're not as sharp as we might normally be, and that's when people can come in and try to swoop in and really try to manipulate us when we're going through that. So just be aware of that, guys. Okay. All right. So the next one is, what is the benefits of planning ahead? You have peace of mind. I mean, imagine we're right now waiting for this hurricane to approach. We don't know which direction it's going to go. We don't know how impactful it's going to be. So having a peace of mind and knowing at least I have a plan in place if, right? I have a plan in place if we have property damage, now we have a plan in place. If we do experience flooding, now we have a plan in place. You're better able to manage your savings. You're better prepared to navigate if you do have some recovery that's necessary. So planning ahead, as with anything else, it matters. And that's the reason why we're having this conversation. Some of you might catch it later. Some of you might be catching it now. And if you have a question, please make sure that you're putting that in the chat. I'm here for you. I tell you, I left a comfortable corporate job because I wanted to be able to have more access to the public as in the underwriting space and be able to give this information and give this knowledge. So you receiving this knowledge or letting me know that it's helpful, it helps me as much as it helps you, I promise. I've always been like a natural helper where I want to help people because I have been helped so much in my life. And so it's my way of making sure that you guys have the resources. I care. And so here's the next item, the importance of being financially prepared in disasters. Here's some statistics. 40% of Americans said they would not have enough money to cover a $400 emergency expense. 30% of individuals do not have enough money set aside for the emergency. And 70% is the national rate for uninsured losses for disasters. Woo! What that means is that 70% of people that experience an uninsured loss don't have the money to cover it. This is the reason why when everything's shiny and everything's good and the sun's out and we're enjoying ourselves, that we think ahead of what could happen. So I'm a risk manager. The probability of blah, 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 right? We know that the probability that at some point we're going to need to tap into an emergency fund is what? It's high. That's a high probability, right? So I'm not trying to be on you guys. I just want to make sure that you're good. So these are things that you have to think about. I know a lot of the times we don't talk about financial education and we hear, oh, they didn't teach that in school. Well, guess what? I'm here. I'm here to make sure that we're thinking about it. Okay, I know sometimes it can be like dull and boring, but I hope I can bring just a little bit of life and personality to it because this is my life. I love financial information and education. I mean, we go to work every day, or we have our business that we're maintaining, and our life and the quality of our life is impacted by how well we're doing financially. That's just the real in the skin of it, right? I don't say we make money just to make money, but we make money because it affects the quality of our life. And preparing for an unexpected event definitely can affect our quality of life. I'm praying that during this disaster that I pray for anybody who is impacted, and I'm hoping that there is not a lot of impact, but we know the probability of a storm coming like this is that most likely there will be. So the best thing that we can do is make sure that we prepare and we get as much information out as possible. And that's why I'm here with you this evening. All right. All right. So impacts of financial stress. Financial stress after disaster include health effects, post-traumatic stress disorder, depression, anxiety, increased misuse of drugs and alcohol. Why? Because again, you're stressed. What can we do? We can prepare a little bit. There's resources out there that can help us as well. So we want to be aware of that. At a glance, individual assistance. 4.7 million have applied for assistance in response. And these are statistics that are a little bit older from 2017. This is directly from FEMA. 35% of applicants received housing and other needs. 4,300 was the average amount of housing assistance paid to survivors in this particular year because of hurricane season. And 1,300 was the average amount of other needs and assistance. So FEMA's individual and household program provides a maximum of around $30,000 per household to assist with housing repair, replacement, and temporary housing assistance and other needs. So there will be resources available. We just want to make sure, again, that we're going through reputable sources. But if you are going to be impacted, please remember that there are services that are available. I pulled the things that I thought was going to be relevant. I didn't want to keep you long, especially if you're already kind of preparing and hunkering down, but it really hasn't kind of hit us yet. So maybe this is a good time for us to prepare. Plus, I know you guys stay up late, right? What do you guys have? I have my snacks already that I shouldn't have. I've been trying to be healthy, but it's not winning right now because it's not. So here's another thing. So partnered with FEMA, you have Operation Hope. In your county, you're going to have resources. And there is a toolkit that is available. I'm going to go through some of the things on the toolkit, and then I'm going to post the link so that you have it. But there's some really good things that I think that you need to have within that toolkit. All right. I got two more of these slides. So save money, 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 and be prepared for an emergency. Safeguard your important documents. Establish that you might need to have cash on hand. Why? Because the electricity, it could go down. My lights fluttered, even though it hasn't really hit, they flickered a few times earlier. And so if that's happening to me, then that's in the area as well. So if you need something, having cash on hand is important, and knowing your insurance coverages, making those phone calls ahead of time. Tomorrow is still a work day. It is Thursday, so you should be able. It is Thursday, right? Yes, I'm asking my household. Sometimes like when the days just go in tune with each other. That has been one of those weeks. Okay, that means I've been working hard. All right, so tomorrow though is a work day. So even if you're at home because your job said, that we're gonna prepare and so hunker down, you can make these phone calls tomorrow. So remember that I told you guys this, okay? Knowing your insurance options. Most standard insurance policies do not cover flood damage, and only flood insurance protects from the financial devastation of flood. So call, find out tomorrow. If you haven't already, just find out. Find out, do you need flood insurance? Call whoever has your homeowner's insurance policy and ask them. Did you know that just 1 inch of water can cause $25,000 damage to your home? So see how much flood could cost you, and you could go to this site, floodsmart.gov. All right. I'm going to check the chat real fast. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And I'm going to X out of this because I'm finished presenting that. And I'm going to go to my next item. Hello there. I learned to bite it off. Good. I'm good. I'm all right. I'm all right. Just spending some time with you guys tonight. Yeah, you just got to learn to bite it off a little bit at a time. I mean, imagine, think about it. Okay, if I put away $30, $40, and I know there's a lot of buckets and we got to stretch our money. I know there's school clothes that have to come up. What are some of the other things that we have to prepare for? This is just like one of those items, that we have to prepare for in the emergency fund. So maybe just create emergency fund in general. And then you will have that. Okay, I'm going to share my next item here, my friends. Let's see, let me click on what I have. All right. Okay, I'm not going into the toolkit just yet. I might. Okay, I'll just go into the toolkit right now. This will probably, I was already taking a look at it. So I'm going to start at page 1. Let me just put this here. Okay. So this is the toolkit. I'm going to wait for it to come up. I know that I was bouncing back and forth, and so it may be going a little bit slower. All right, cool. All right, I see I have some friends still with me here that are paying attention. Okay, so this is the toolkit from FEMA, and there's some really good items that it goes over. So I'm just going to make this a little bit big so I can see it. All right, and make sure you have everything. All right, good. We can see everything. Thumbs up. Yes. All right. So FEMA obviously has a disaster number that you can call. And again, you can use, your county is also going to have different resources for you. All of this is so that you can strengthen your financial preparedness for emergencies, whether they are big or whether they are small. So when it comes to emergencies, Americans face more than just earthquakes and tornadoes and hurricanes. But right now, we are worried about Hurricane Helene, and we want to make sure that we're prepared. So I'm going to go over just a couple of things. I'm not going to go through everything in this toolkit, but I am going to go through some specific things that I think that you need to know. And again, if you have any questions, my friends, please, please, please put it in the chat. Okay. Now I'm going to give you this link so that you can go over this link when you have time. And we want to make sure that it has a checklist for your household identification, financial and legal documents, medical information, and also household things as well. So I always love to give a definition about financial wellness. Before you take the first steps to becoming financially prepared, you should have the basic knowledge of your finances. Financial literacy is the ability to make informed decisions in managing your financial resources and making smart choices, which is the reason why we're going over the financial preparedness. So, just some four simple things that you can do is making sure that you have a hard copy of your documents, like your financial papers. You want to make sure that you have that. If you're receiving any federal benefits, you want to make sure that that is set up and that it's paperless. You want to print or download statements or bills that you pay automatically, such as your rent or mortgage. You want to download any banking or bill pay mobile applications to your smartphone or device so that you have access in case you're not able to be at home any longer and you don't lose access being able to get onto your financial information. You can also take photographs and record videos of your rooms and any valuable things that you have. That is important. And then you can take some cash if you're going to have any emergency uses. So I hope that that is helpful on that. When we talk about safeguarding, you want to go ahead and store your any of your paper products um, into a safe location. You want to consider electronic copies. And these are just high level overviews. So things for you to think about over the next couple days while you're home. If you're going to be waiting on, Friday, Saturday, for this storm to hit, you could go ahead and get some things in order so that it's easier for you. Okay. And again, I pray that have as little impact as possible with this storm coming. But I did want to make sure that you had an idea of some things. Okay, so making sure that you have your household identification, legal documents, medical information. So if you're looking at the storm hitting, if you're out in Georgia and beyond, then this should be able to help you. If you're a first time, maybe you're on your own. I have some young adults in my family. So maybe you're living on your own and, this is something that was never covered. This could be dry for some seasoned adults out there, but there's a lot of people, out there who are recently independent and, they're like, oh my gosh, what do I need to do? What do I do about a storm coming? And we have a lot of people that have moved around the country and haven't dealt with a hurricane. And so they want to know, how do I prepare? So it's not just your physical, it's also your financial information that you want to make sure that you are that you're preparing for. So you want to have all your documentations. And again, I'm going to send this out. I'm just kind of going over some high level things. Your household information, making sure that you have your identification, like your driver's license, marriage license, divorce, social security cards, all of those personal identifiable documentation. Do you have them safe someplace? Are they on a go bag? Are they ready? Did you take a picture and maybe put it in a cloud? Your green card, naturalization papers, all of these things are things that you want to think about. Your military ID, if you have pets, proof of ownership or anything like that. If you have, emotional support letter, you want to look and for these types of things. Your household information, because every household is different and it needs to be customized differently. You want to make sure that you have your name, your birth date, your residence, have all of these things stored and ready to go. And then also you can include them on the cloud, so that you have all these things, your spouse or your partner, your employment information. This is all information that's extremely important, to make sure that you have ready and available, and that you're putting these things like on the cloud so that they can be accessed, right? You want to have your emergency contacts information, their work number, their relationship. All of these things are things that you want to think about. They're going to help protect your financial information. And I'll share this right here as well. Hold on one moment. Dun-da-da-dum. All right. Having your financial and legal documentation, how much your housing payments are, your credit card, your bills, your checking accounts, insurance policies. And I think it's buffering right now, so just give it a moment. Insurance policies, sources of income, your tax statements, any estate planning. Just having all of this as part of your financial preparedness. I want you guys to be as prepared as possible. Over the next couple of days, the storm hasn't really hit yet, but when it does, it will. And if you are in an area that is going to be impacted, you want to be able to have as much preparation as possible, right? And that's the reason why we're going over these items. Some other things that you want to think about is, and anyway, you guys, you should have these things ready to go, documented someplace where you have all your credit card statements, alimony payments, student loans, if you're paying at an elder care facility, and if you're not, make sure that you set up time with Coach Shakira so we can make sure that that you are good for whatever situation you may encounter in your life, right? But these are just some regular items. If you have powers of attorneys, if you have wills, any account information, because who really has all of their banking account information memorized? I don't know. My mom did, though. My mom was amazing on having her information memorized, but she was a 911 dispatcher. You see the correlation. So I'm just meant to try to help. My mom was a 911 dispatcher for over 33 years. And so even the stories that she had, or the calls that she had, I know how important it is to have these things prepared, because you just never know, right? And so you want to be prepared for these items. If you have medical information, having your physician's contact information, pediatrician, any medicines that you're taking, copies of your pharmacy ID, all of these things are just FYIs for you to start thinking like, okay, maybe I shouldn't just watch that next fifth episode or whatever I'm streaming and binging, whatever else is coming up. Maybe I should, just take a couple hours out of the day, to make sure that I have some things in place. And, if this is your first time in that area, then these are things to help you say, okay, all right, coach. Okay, Shakira, I got you. I got you. Let me go ahead and turn off the third movie that I've watched for today, and let me go ahead and take care of my business, right? Let me go ahead and take care of my business. By the way, what are some of the movies that you might be watching, or that you might be having teed up? Um, I'll tell you mine as soon as I think about it. What's the one with the rock? I'll probably definitely watch that one, where it's like an earthquake. Thank you, honey. San Andreas. I'll probably watch that one. I'll see what else. My husband is Lord of the Rings and um, Star Wars. So, we get some of those in. I would like to tell you that I'm just going to work, but no. Your personal your household contacts, right? Maybe your your real estate mortgage representative, doctors, dentists, insurance agents, lawyers, your financial advisors, having all of that information like in a contact list. And again, I'm going to give you guys these things so that you have them, and just going over kind of a high overview of things that you might have not have thought about. And then I also want you to think about protecting your own financial information and keeping that safe. I talked to you guys earlier about fraud is really high during disasters and during storms. So I want you to think about that, and I want you to make sure that you're protecting your information, your electronic records, and keeping those safe, your passwords, your PIN numbers. If you find that anything was stolen, and especially if you're going to have to evacuate, you want to make sure that you're thinking about, okay, what are the next steps? And some of those next steps are making sure that you have secured your personal information. uh, Having worked in real estate and mortgages and banking, I can't tell you how many times that we've come across fraud and how many billions of dollars is spent in trying to recover or from damages and being lost. So I really hope that this presentation has helped you, my friends. And I wanted to put together just a few different items that I thought would really be something that would help your families, or if you're around the country and you're thinking about your family and your loved ones, and you're like my family and they're calling and saying, hey, did you think about this, did you do this? Well, now you can help someone say, hey, I was watching Coach Shakira and she said that you need to have this and this done. And so you can share this, please, with anyone that you think that might need the information. Maybe you have, college kids that are recent. Now, if you are in Hillsborough County, and you can do this with any of the counties in which you live in, there should be a storm disaster recovery resources, and that you can go to your page, and they're going to have different links for you. They're going to have ways for you to apply for assistance. They're going to have ways for you to update, FEMA or any other disaster relief, so that you can get help and you can get assistance. There's definitely going to be disaster recover areas. And so you should be able to find all of these resources through your city and through your county. If you're specifically in Hillsborough County, you can go to hcfl.gov/residents. And again, I'll put all of these links within this chat so that you have them available. I just want you to know that there are monies available to be able to help you. You should also be able to call any creditor that you have and make an arrangement and let them know, I was in a disaster, I was in a hurricane, and I need to make some arrangements because I'm going to be going through a hardship. That is absolutely something that is normal. Please do not be shy about having to, ask for assistance or ask for help or ask for aid or anything like that. I want you to make sure that you have the insurances ready for your vehicle. That if it experiences any flood, that you can make sure that you have that available. Here's another resource that I wanted to share with you. Let me close out of this. And so this is just being prepared for a financial emergency. I know it's getting teed up, so let me wait until it does, so I don't move forward without having discussed it. You've worked really hard for your home and saving for your future, but disasters can lead to financial emergencies. So just again, I'm just reiterating the preparation that's needed so that we can reduce the hardships, the anxiety, the stress, that comes from having been in a disaster. So all of the things that I covered already is just reiterated. And again, I'll put these documents in the chat. And please, family, friends, let me know if you have any questions or if there's something specific that you have a question about or that you need some assistance with. And I am more than happy to help you. So, you guys stay safe, stay prayed up, and I will be in touch. And if you need anything, please let me know and sign up for financial coaching and workshops that I have. And please share this information. All right? You guys have a good evening.